a lot of people die because they don't realize that the zombies are never going to stop coming. I don't know if it's like bugged or they kind of like changed it at the last second. Originally, you can like jump behind them offline, and I actually just realized today that there was a whole second supply line that unlocks. We finally have it. It is the Back 4 Blood beta, and it's so much fun. But I had to spend a lot of time in the early access weekend figuring out exactly how it works. So now, you don't have to, because we're going to go through it right now. Let's get started. When you first open up the game, you're going to get to a screen. It looks pretty much like this. We're starting off in Fort Hope. Now, up in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to be getting some objectives. Don't worry about those right at the start, because you don't actually have the currency to get those done right at the beginning without playing your first campaigns. So really, the only thing you have to do in Fort Hope is to come over here outside to the shooting range. Over here, you can try out all the different guns in the game and all the different attachments. Each gun does have a rarity. You can test out your controls and your settings and get that all squared away. And that's about all there is to do in Fort Hope when you're getting started. So once you've got all that figured out, then we can just go right in over here to this guy with the exclamation point. He's going to be the guy that actually gets you playing the game. Now, we have two main modes. We have Campaign or Versus, which is basically just PvE or PvP. Right now, Solo Campaign isn't available, unfortunately, so you can't play by yourself. So we do have Quick Play available if you don't have a party with you. So just go over the settings real quick. If you go to Preferences, you can choose whether you're playing just with you and your friends, or with randos you want to match with online, if you want people to have voice or not, or you don't care, and if you want crossplay enabled. So if you go into Campaign, you can create a run, choose your difficulty, and select your starting point, because once you get through a level, then you can actually unlock that starting point, so you don't always have to restart the entire campaign if you want to play a part, or if you run out of continues. Now, even though Survivor, the easiest difficulty, isn't really challenging, I do suggest starting off with that at least once, because it does help you just get used to the mechanics and figure out how the game works, even if the first few levels really do feel a bit easy. So let's see if I can get into a game, and we'll start talking about the gameplay and some of the tips and things I had to figure out about how the actual gameplay works.
First aid cabinet, the last sign of civilization.
So the first thing I want to talk about is our health, because that can be a little bit confusing. So if you see right below me, at the bottom left of the screen is our health bar.
You see that?
And what you're looking at is, so there's the white part, and that's the health that we currently have. Then there's the red part, which is the health that we can heal, the health that I can heal,
Can't have you bleeding to death now.
Appreciate it.
which I'm currently being healed. And then there is the little blackish part, which is hard to see, but it's there at the end.
I dressed
And that's called trauma. Now, trauma
Seems like
you
a
mostly
fucking
get
stupid
from
idea
special
now.
effects
Like this.
from Special Ridden. And trauma can't be
Meds. Shotgun.
healed normally. The only way to get trauma back
I'll be
is
fixed up soon.
from special med cabinets that you find around the environment.
I'll take this.
And yeah, so trauma basically affects your max health. Now you also see that I have some blue health on me right now. Now that's a little bit more complicated, but basically that's temporary health, meaning that it goes away on its own over time, but it helps for now. And this is an example of one of those medicine cabinets you can find in the environment to heal your trauma. Alright, now I'm at the safe room at the start of a new level. And what's really important here is at the very top left in refills next to your ammo is this right here. This plus sign is your health. Now somehow at the beginning of this level I started at full, Quick play can be weird sometimes, but make sure you refill this, otherwise you'll be starting the level at less than full health, and that's super annoying. And that's about what you need to know for health. Now let's talk about what you have to do when it comes to actually fighting the zombies. So when it comes to what to shoot at, this isn't a full in-depth guide into all the strategies about fighting zombies, but basically what you need to know is aim for the heads, and then anytime you see
Over there.
the pink weak spots that look like big pink bulging things on the zombies, usually the special zombies, you want to aim for that, because anything that has that, that's how you take it down. So up here, an example on her chest is a pink pussy thing that's a weak spot. So that is an example of what you should be aiming for
We can hole up in the pump station.
on the special infected. It was hard to see it on her, but the game's only giving me stingers right now. That's the type of thing you should be looking for weak spots. So this is a bruiser, which is by far the most difficult, or it's definitely the most difficult special infected to take on. There are a few different
Keep your distance,
strategies I've tried to avoid them. Nothing works every time. And that's a crusher. They're just gonna grab you. And your teammates, who are bots in this case, hopefully are going to shoot you out at some point. Okay.
Got you, Mom.
Yeah, having bots for teammates is fun.
What the fuck? Damn you, Walker.
Anyway,
Team.
bruisers, the best strategy I've found, well actually I haven't got any best strategy, but they're not agile. They can charge. Where did my bomb go? My bomb is gone. Great.
You think you could give me a hand here? Anyone?
You can move offline of their charge.
Reloading.
That can help.
Hey, that's where you're shooting.
You all right there, hon?
You can also move at them and kind of run at them and jump off at an angle, so you end up behind them, and that can sometimes avoid their big
Right about now.
rush. That doesn't always work. You can sometimes avoid a lot of the main damage that way, though. That was a spitter or a hawker. Main thing with them,
This'll do
don't
nicely.
ignore them, because they will climb around in the background and hurt you.
Bruiser!
One more. Let me take care of this.
Need to reload.
Nothing hurts
Reloading.
worse than a
Push
broken
out
heart.
here.
And this is nothing.
But yeah, try to avoid those guys by getting over obstacles. They're not very agile. And just running away. But like I said, straight lines is where they excel. Obviously that guy is taking his time though, so we're good. And exploders, just keep your distance. And they won't explode on you. And try to, if you can like jump behind him offline, that's kind of the way I try to avoid his hit if he's too close and about to hit me. And the last tip I really have for the PvE campaign stuff is to know when you need to clear the zombies out and know when you really need to just run and survive. And I'm not going to go through each instance of this and spoil the whole thing, but you know, a lot of times the characters will kind of give you a hint and tell you you need to run. sometimes it'll be
Felt
like an
like I kicked a
objective
puppy when I took it off and he
or
wasn't
something
coming.
that'll open up
Don't
and
even
allow you
want
to
to
escape.
speculate what goes on inside his head.
But a lot of people die because they don't realize that the zombies are never going to stop coming and they just need to escape. And some people die the other way because they don't clear the zombies and they just run straight through them and then they get hoarded. So a lot of it is just learning kind of when you need to do each one. And that's about it for getting started in getting through PvE. We'll go through the whole card system and how that works in a second. But let's talk about PvP and kind of how that works, because I know a lot of people are excited about that.
When you're ready, I have a mission for you.
Great, so now I'm going to queue into PvP. Unfortunately, in the beta, PvP is a little bit broken because people are quitting the games a lot. So it is going to be tough to actually find a game and get a game to last. But the games are still pretty cool if you can get one that's actually going to be seen through. Alright, so the way that PvP works is it's best of 3 rounds. One team starts as the cleaners, one team starts as the ridden, and it's just survival. The cleaners see how long they can survive, and then the teams switch, and the people who started as the ridden then play as the cleaners and see if they can survive as long. And that's 1 round, and it's best of 3 rounds. So we start off now with everyone's picking the cards, and then we have to scavenge to find all of our weapons and stuff that we can actually use during the match. And then we just hold out as long as we can. The strategies for humans are basically to keep moving. The zombies always see where you are, so you can run, but you can't hide. And if you're lucky enough to be on a team with other people you can communicate with, you want to focus on zombies together and take them down one by one. Because if you're all focused on different zombies, then you're just never going to take them down fast enough. And then the last tip I have is to really work on the balance between being separated enough as the cleaners so that things like acid pulls and exploders can't blow you all up at once, but also being close enough together so that you can help each other if one of you gets caught in like a hawker web or something like that. And maintaining that balance is kind of the part of the finesse and the strategy of it. Right, so then the way this works is that the humans, they choose cards, just like in PvE at the beginning of each round. But the zombies have this zombie mutation system. And it could be a little bit confusing how it works, but basically you choose which type of ridden you want to upgrade, and then you choose an upgrade. You start off with these 50 evolution points, and then you choose one of these 3 to put it in. And if you don't have enough to put into the upgrade, you can spend some now and then finish it up later. And it applies for all 3. You might sometimes see some of these locked. You can't play as them because only 2 players can be any of this type of zombie at once. So you can only have 2 of, like, if someone's a stinger, if I also choose to be a hawker, then no one else can be a stinger or a hawker at the same time. But if I come out, see how it's locked now? But if I come out and I choose to be exploder, now somebody else can be a stinger or a hawker. It's kind of weird, but that's how it works. And then one thing I'll say, the cleaners are still scavenging at this point. Don't underestimate the common ridden. You can't be common ridden, but you can upgrade them. They're the NPCs that will swarm the cleaners and help you out. If you press escape, you can see how many people are on your team, and because we're actually down 2 players, we're probably not going to win anyway. But if you're only down like 1 player, I definitely suggest investing in the common ridden, because they're the NPCs and they're the one things that doesn't rely on you having all your players. So I am actually going to do that and evolve the common ridden up. I like doing this bottom one because then they can start getting poisonous like acid, and it's great. Anyway, yeah, so some tips for the ridden. Definitely pay attention to the map you're on, because that can affect who you play as the ridden. You know, if there's more open space, then don't be a more fragile ridden who can get shot from far away by the cleaners. You know, that kind of thing. You know, change up your strategy based on the map, based on what the cleaners are doing, how spread apart they are, that kind of thing. Make sure you combo your moves together with your teammates, if you're able to talk to your teammates. And yeah, also a common mistake, you can't thirst cleaners. Once they're down, you can't continue to hit them and like kill them all the way, so don't waste time trying to do that. But that's about all there is. Like I said, because the games don't actually last that long because people keep leaving, it's been hard to play a lot of PvP rounds. So developing super strong strategies hasn't been something a lot of people have been able to do, but that's just kind of the tips that I've been able to pick up the handful of games I've been able to play. Alright, that's all the main stuff with the gameplay. We're back here at Fort Hope. The last thing I want to spend a couple minutes on at the end of this video is talking about the card system, because that can be probably the most confusing part for people just getting into this game, especially if they don't really know much about it going into this kind of cold. So first I want to bring your attention, we've got 2 more exclamation points here. All these 3 characters you can talk to, you don't actually have to run between all of them to get to all the different menus. As long as you're talking to one of them,
trust me,
you can just go up here to the top and click between all the different menus, so you don't have to keep running back and forth. I also want to bring your attention to the pause menu. If you press escape, if you're on PC, and you go to character select, this is how you choose who you are in Fort Hope, and this is where you can actually see the different abilities that each cleaner has, and you can also pick whichever one you want and then run out to the shooting range and see what weapons they start with and what you have to work with for when you're building your decks.
There's hope for you yet.
Alright, so now we're back here in the deck system here. And now, when you first start out, all it's going to give you is this starter deck, which just has these 5 cards. So, the way you get new cards is these supply lines here. Now, these are second tier supply lines. It actually starts you off with a single supply line, and you go to one and you get supply points every time you do a PvE round or a PvP round, and you spend them. You progress through, you have to do it in order, progress through each of these supply lines, and you unlock stuff. So you start out, there's just a single one to unlock, and then it gives you 3 options, and then once you get through those 3 options, once you get through a single supply line, then it unlocks a new supply line for you. So I've done all first 3 options, and these are the second 3 options that you can get. And I actually just realized today that there was a whole second supply line that unlocks. So, yeah, something new I just found out. So the way that these 3 supply lines kind of roughly go is the top one is kind of your DPS or damage dealers. The middle one, your first tier, is kind of like your healer, and then the second tier moves into more of like your tank kind of build. And then down here is kind of like your runner mobility kind of DPS kind of character. So the way that plays into the characters is pretty much Walker and Hoffman are best for that top tier for the DPS. And this is just really rough to get you started. And then the middle tier for the healer kind of thing is kind of mostly for Mom at this point, mainly because she gets the support inventory, the team extra life, that kind of thing. And then the runner mobility person is pretty much Evangelo. He's got the movement speed, the stamina regen, all that. And then that just kind of leaves Holly, who's in a weird kind of position at this point. She doesn't have a huge tool set in the beta. She is kind of the melee character / tank character. She has the damage resistance. So you're going to kind of have to mesh some of the supply lines together, some of the healer with the tank supply line together to kind of make a bit of a melee tank build for her. The important thing to note here is that the cards actually draw in the order that they appear in this deck list. Now, the beta, I don't know if it's like bugged or they kind of like changed it at the last second. Originally, the way the system was supposed to work is you always have your first card in the deck list and then everything else is random. They changed it so that everything appears in order. But now whenever you start a round, it shows you your first card, in this case the EMT bag, is always there. But if you actually don't pick it as your like first pick, you actually won't have it. So it's kind of like a bug in the beta right now. So make sure, even though it says you have it, make sure you still pick it or you won't have it. But then after that, all your cards will appear in order in the PvE campaign. And then once you pick one, that one will be replaced by the next one in the list, but you still keep all the other 4 that were already there. So in terms of making your decks, I'm not going to go super in-depth about that. The main tip I want to give you is if you've got friends or people you can coordinate with, you can be more specialized and have someone super concerned about healing or tanking or being like a runner scavenger kind of person. But if you're going to be doing a lot more like random fills, that kind of thing, you probably want to be a little bit more balanced. Make sure your deck has a couple of healing cards in it, a couple of like damage resistance cards in it, just so that you don't have to rely on random people to have the different stat boosts and things that you need to actually be able to survive and get through the level. Now that is especially true in PvP. In PvP, they actually start you out with a whole bunch of different decks to begin with, and I've found that most of them are super specialized and really only work if you have like a full squad that really like knows what you're doing. In PvP, everyone has the same cards, you don't have to unlock them. And I very much advise just putting together a bunch of good cards that is a balance of a bunch of things. And as you get used to PvP, you can start to specialize yourself a little bit. But give yourself some utility, some healing. I've found that healing is kind of OP because these special ridden, they can really like combo their moves and take you from like 100 to 10 in like 2 seconds. So I found that healing is kind of OP. And besides that, give yourself some utility and some things to work with. But in PvP, it does work the original way. You start off with your first card no matter what, but all the rest of your cards show up randomly. So it does not work the same way. You don't get them in order like in PvE campaign. So I hope that pretty much clears up everything with cards. I know that's a lot of information, but it is a bit of a complex system. I really like it, but without like any kind of real tutorial around it, people can get confused pretty easily. That has been pretty much my experience playing the Back 4 Blood beta over the last 3 days. I have figured out a lot and I've been having a blast. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you liked it. And please, if you liked it, come back and hang out sometime. I will be playing this game a lot. I will be streaming it all this weekend coming up. And I will definitely be streaming when it comes out for real. So check me out, DarkstarHC, on YouTube, on Twitch, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.